a question that's not just in regards to nutrition, just in general for you. Of course, our children learn from us. They look up to us. We are, or we definitely should be, their biggest example, inspiration. And I'm just wondering, from you got a younger son. What are some of the things that you started to do different now since you became a father, as to become a better role model for your son?
Oh man, that's a difficult question to answer. So, uh, I didn't mention this earlier. So I'm a single father of a 5-year-old. He's almost 5.
Okay.
I have full custody of my son. He lives with me. He's with me 95% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got custody of him, a lot changed at that point, because before it was I saw him as much as I could. I was involved in his life for sure, but he didn't live with me. I didn't have the primary influence. He was influenced by his mom, and it was just a stressful situation of me having to try to be a father from far away. But when he came to live with me, a lot changed there. So at that time, we were living in San Diego, and I worked at a university. That was 3 years ago. So right about 3 years ago. So we moved. He came to live with me right before he turned 2. And I had to. That was the point where I bared like the full responsibility of like, man, I have to take care of this kid. I have to set a good example. I have to raise him like I'm doing it on my own. And that is when I like decided to leave my job and start a business and create a podcast. And I think one of the biggest things is me before I was settling for lower than what I thought was my true potential. And I was comfortably okay with that. But then when he came to live with me, uh, I was no longer okay with him seeing me do something that didn't light me up. Like now he knows what I do at 5 years old, and I'm setting a good example through what I've done. It was like leaving my job and being able to, and another big thing there was like, I wanted to be present. I wanted to be able to, anytime he had something going on with school or sports, I wanted to be able to be there. And that's one of the big reasons that I left my job and started my own business. And I also just knew that I knew that it was going to be successful as long as I applied what I had learned in the business world and created an online programs and some put valuable content out there. So, that was one of the biggest things there, is like, it forced me to stop living below my potential and settling for what was easy rather than what I knew I could do.
Well, so your son made you take that next step, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, so I went into work one day and I asked for some time off for Christmas to be able to like take him to Texas to see my family, because I was living in California, and they told me no. And that was like in my head when they told me no. In my head, like I made the decision to leave the job, and I'm like, I have a PhD in nutrition. I understand nutrition. I can teach it. I can help people one-on-one. I can provide, value, so much value when I put my skills out there, that it's just the building process. Like I was fearing that I knew it was going to take 2 years to build it before I was able to, provide a salary and get back to where I was. So that's where the fear was before. But just I was motivated by knowing that I wanted to be in control of my life because I didn't want to have to go to work over going to my son's, school play or whatever it is. Like I never want someone to tell me that I have to go in and show up somewhere rather than, being able to be present at what's important.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's something that for me was also a decision to be like, yeah, I'm done working. I don't want anybody anymore controlling my time. I want to have the discussion in my own head saying, can I go? Yes, no, and then make that decision instead of somebody else just saying flat out no, and you just have to swallow it. So I hope that that's a message as well that other fathers are going to pick up, because I think it's so important. I heard somebody say, and I like that word, or I read it somewhere, entrepreneur dad, and I found that was like, yep, I like that, because it's what I think any father um, should do. Become an entrepreneur dad, and that way have so much free time and the possibility to completely be there, instead of once they turn 18 be like, where did the time go? And I missed so much of my kid's life. So yeah, brilliant. I appreciate you sharing that.